Hello, welcome to Stories of Awakening, May 2021, and this is Mary Jo with my virtual background, and it's picking up the green on my jumper, just so you know if it's going in and out. So yeah, I just wanted to take a few moments to say hello and introduce my returning guests, Sharon Martin and Janine Savient, who are going to join me in a moment. And this is our fourth coming together, at least, since I started Stories of Awakening about a year ago, May 2020. And I interviewed people individually, and us three have come back again and again, just little catch-ups. So Sharon Martin, she connects with Gaia, the consciousness of Gaia, or Mother Earth, and communes on that level. So very talented intuitives, and she shares the messages that she gets intuitively through meditations and connections with Gaia. She also paints. She has a beautiful picture of Gaia behind her, usually, and so she's very connected to that energy. Many of the Ascended Masters as well. So she brings through her messages. So this is why we come together to share what's the latest images and symbols and messaging that she's been receiving to support the collective awakening journey at this time. And you can find Sharon Martin, Sharron, so 2 R's in Sharon, Martin.com. And she offers sessions. You can join her YouTube channel, Inner Sanctum, NZ, or Inner Sanctum. You'll find all the details on her website. And also my second guest is Janine Savient, and she is called the Heart Lady, and her website is called heartlady.net, and she really speaks from the heart and from that bigger consciousness energy of unconditional love. And she brings through her guides and her message. She brings through messages from her guides. She shares them on her Facebook page a lot. And they're beautiful messages. They're always very, very insightful and very timely. And she also offers groups and different ways to connect with her as well on her website. The Heart Lady, theheartlady.net, I think that's what it is. Okay, and then there's myself, Mary Jo, and I have been running my retreat in Day Spa in Hamner Springs for this is the 7th year. And yeah, what am I up to? I'm up to a lot. I do lots of detox retreats, yoga retreats, quantum wellness retreats. My background is in quantum healing hypnosis technique, so yoga, wellness, detox, anything, healing, emotional, inner child healing, all of it to really support us coming home to ourselves and harmonizing our inner world so that we can be the harmonizers of our outer environment. And so we make this internal shift into the awakening, really, that we are creator beings and that our thoughts and our energy and everything affects our experience. So yeah, that's what I'm passionate about consciousness, passionate about this awakening and ascension journey that we're all on Earth, maybe at different stages. So yeah, hope you enjoy and you find something of resonance and help and support that resonates with your heart, that may give some relief for your mind and soothing for the emotions. A lot is coming to the surface and has been and does, because in essence we have to empty out the old consciousness, the old thoughts, the old emotions within us has to come to resolution and reconciliation so that we can create an inner vacuum, so to speak, to become more of our authentic expression and our true essence in expression on this planet. And naturally, when we're truly our authentic self and tapping into a higher level of awareness of who we really are, we naturally are tapping into a greater vision of who we are, but also who we collectively are on the planet Earth as a humanity and as the Earth in a galaxy. So we keep expanding our vision of self, and that sense of our place within a bigger vision and a bigger vision. So as we awaken and we go deeper inwards, we actually expand our awareness and understanding of ourselves and what's possible, and go beyond the more limited, restricted consciousness, beliefs, attitudes, ideas, identities, and we expand out into more expansive possibilities, new thought, new solutions, new creativity, which is exactly what's happening on the planet right now. So incredibly exciting times, however challenging to empty out and to let go and to allow the old to, in essence, fall down, to be destroyed, to dissipate. So we'll be feeling that personally, and we're feeling it collectively as well. And that can be challenging on that egoic part of ourself who has hung its sense of security and identity and value and self-worth and security and all of these things on the outer structures. So that's the big challenge. But the opportunity is within that, is to realize that that's not who we truly are, and that's not truly our self-value, that's not truly our self-worth, and that's not truly our greatest security, that this can come down and we still have us. We still have that deeper place within us that is untouchable and that can adapt to these shifts and changes. And not only that, is actually wanting to be more fully realized within us and activated within us. And so Sharon and Janine are going to share some beautiful beautiful insights and information and guidance for these times that we're in. And I truly invite you to just soak up the energies, soak up just being with us, being together like this. It's really a co-creation. We're all in this together. You know, there's that sense that we're alone in our journeys, and yet we're in this collective unfolding. So it's simultaneous. We must all walk our own path, and it can feel lonely at times. And yet, as we come into ourselves and we move through those uncomfortable feelings, we realize, yeah, a greater sense of who we are, and that we're truly connected beyond this egoic perception, egoic identity, egoic limitations, egoic, you know, fears and all this kind of stuff. And so that's what awakening in us is our true essence, and beyond the thoughts, beyond the emotions, and beyond what's happening in the external world, and tapping into something deeper within us. And that's what gives us confidence. That's what that makes it all exciting and a joy, and that we can truly create a beautiful earth which is reflective of what we truly desire deep down in our hearts and our souls, that we're ready for. And that's really what's wanting to emerge through us, so that we get our thoughts and our expressions and energies in alignment with that deeper truth, deeper realization, deeper acceptance. So with that, I invite you to take a nice deep breath. Feel your feet on the earth, nice and centered. And just soak it all up with my beautiful ladies, Sharon and Janine. Thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you everybody for tuning in and watching. And I truly trust and hope that you, that you receive some goodness from it, and support. Namaste.
And yet things are happening quickly.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the team was telling me only in the last few days that we've actually been in this process now for that it will be a 40 to 50 year rapid transition, whereas normally it would have taken lifetimes to move into this higher timeline, but they said 40 to 50 year transition. And I went, what? And they said, but dear one, it started in your 1980s. So they said, you're on the homeward stretch now, right at the tail end of it. So, and they said for a lot, they wouldn't have even realised. They wouldn't have even realised because it was preparation on very deep levels that was happening back then. So
we're kind of in those final laps.
Yeah, and now it's rapid. Like now it's got faster as we've moved through it, and now it's rapid. So
we're going to go live, ladies. You're like racehorses. You're straight into it.
Oh, we're streaming now. So
I don't want to miss anything. So I just before we get into it, I just want to welcome whoever gets to watch this. Thank you so much for joining us. So excited to have my two amazing soul sisters back on, Sharon Martin and Janine Savient, for this co-creative stories of awakening, the ongoing awakening, unfolding journey, and just these comings together. I think it's our fourth one that we've done. I could be wrong, but that was the number I gave it. And we've kind of done it on an average of 2 months or 3 months in between each one for the last year-ish, kind of.
Yeah, kind of the last year-ish. That's about right-ish.
The ish works for me.
I know, everything to do with time is very ish, isn't it?
it has to be, doesn't it? Yeah.
And just for anybody who hasn't seen these Stories of Awakening interviews, just a little recap. It's a year. It's pretty much a year, last May, since we came out of the 2-month lockdown in New Zealand. And that I had this inspired idea, connected with Sharon Martin. We were the first 2 people to interview each other for 1 and 2, and then that continued on, and it was really come from that inspiration of sharing our awakening stories, and to really have our stories out there, so that as we're aware, so many more people are in these waves of awakening, and to give some reference points to what that may entail, what that may look like, and hopefully save some people some of those inner struggles and challenges, especially when you don't have a reference point and you think you're going crazy, or etc. So that was kind of what it was about, and did quite a few of them. Haven't done much in the last little while. However, I know there's always more on the cards. However, what I have done is we've kept these little connections going every couple of months. So, and just really feeling into it today of our combination of what we bring. We're like a trinity of sorts, the 3 of us. And so that's something that's been quite organic, I feel, as well, but unfolding, and it's become more clear for me. So yeah, so really, really grateful to have you ladies here. I'm so excited just to be with you and whoever else joins us and really adds your energy as well. And the intention is that you will get something of benefit, resonance from this conversation and communication, and that we can know that, yes, we're all in this together. We're unique and we're together, and we all have our challenges and opportunities in this. And then it's how we navigate that really is the difference in terms of what that experience may be like. So with that, hand it over to Sharon Martin.
Ooh. Okay. Well, what do I want to say? I want to say, first of all, that everyone needs to know that you are likely to be exactly where you're meant to be, and that if you stay in present moment, just being with what is, that you'll be guided. You'll allow your inner voice, your inner wisdom, your soul guidance, your heart guidance, your divinity to guide you. And that right now, the most important thing is that to be connected to self and to take really good levels, really high levels of self-care. So everyone has to look after their own well-being, because we are receiving the most incredible deluge of codes that are coming in through the central sun, and they are powerful beyond measure. And one of the things I got shown earlier this week, I struggle with time, and I've actually just been writing a blog about finance of some things that I brought through from Gaia yesterday. But it's this idea that we've moved in a very short period of time, maybe, you know, sort of between March really and then heading into May, from being in a light, gentle rain shower to being in a tropical downpour and no umbrella. So, you know, that's where we're at, and these are these codes that are coming in to transform us. You know, we're moving from carbon to crystalline, and that's the effect of these codes, as well as it bringing in things for us. So I just want to encourage everybody to really take good care of self and to trust. You know, we are in the right place where we are headed to our destination, and we're being taken there. So we just have to enjoy the ride and not get caught up in the fear, because it's the fear that lowers our vibration. So keeping a clean and clear field energy around us, within us, and just let everything else kind of wash over. So I'll hand it over to Janine for the moment.
Thanks, Sharon. That was fabulous. And I totally agree with all that you said. And so this time last year, the world was in a place of shock. So it had only been like 2 or 3 months since the world changed, literally overnight. And so everybody was kind of in a state of, what the heck is going on here? And focus was outside of everybody's selves. You know, I talk for humanity as a whole, because so much was going on in our societies and in our countries, and that focus was outside, and the world was being watched. The outside world was being watched from a state and a place of shock. Here we are, May 2021, and we've gathered ourselves back again. Months ago, we realised, especially in the last couple of months, that it was time to bring ourselves back. So masses and masses of the aware and the awakened have brought their focus back into themselves, and they realise now that to stay unattached from the world play and what is actually happening within them holds far more power than the distraction and the story outside of them, ourselves. And so right now, the aware and the awaken are morphing on a daily basis between 3D and 5D. So you know, it's one is overlapping. The 5D is overlapping the 3D right now, and so the morphing goes on. So when we're high, when we're in our joy, when we're in our play, when we're in all the higher end of the spectrum of feeling, we are stepping into 5D and how that feels, and creating from that place within us. When we slip back down, if our focus goes outside, if we hear something, if we wonder what's going on, we're just having a heavy day with keeping ourselves up, as we all do in the human experience, we slip back into 3D, and we immediately feel the effects of the polarity, the separateness, the fear and the doubt that plays within that field of reality. And so right now, we as multidimensional beings are really feeling that multidimensionality in ourselves as we go from the high to the lower, to the high to the lower, more or less on a daily basis, until we have mastered ourselves, because that's what this entire awakening process is about, is self-mastery. And when we master ourselves, we don't slip back down, we don't get attached, we don't connect to anything that's going on outside of ourselves. And the 5D, the higher reality, becomes our reality. That becomes our timeline. So we've come the awake and the aware have come a long way in a very short time period, like just a year, and here we are really realizing what's going on and who we are on levels that we didn't even, we may have touched on but didn't quite understand. What was a concept a year ago is now becoming a reality for us. And so, you know, this is a rapid progression. This is a rapid growth period. And I say to all those that are on the leading edge of the change here, give yourself a pat on the back. This is a massive time. The old is crumbling before our eyes, and all the old aspects of us are leaving, and here we are, centre point in that, and sometimes we feel like we can't go on. Sometimes I know many that are just at times so tired of it, they just want it to go away now. But yeah, that's, you know, we keep standing up, we keep moving on, we keep finding our smile again after the last big time, and there's big times at least weekly now. So yeah, we're not here accidentally. We're here on purpose and for purpose. We are the strongest of the strong. We've done this before in other civilizations. We come in when there's great change, and we anchor our light and we anchor our presence here, and we are that change. We come and we are that change. So yeah, it's time for a big pat on the back. You know, we're in the homeward straight now, ladies. Yeah. You know, my team was just saying to me in the last few days that this has been a 40 to a 50-year period, and started in the 80s, 1980s, and we're on the homeward stretch now. So not long now. I actually said to some yesterday that I was talking to that we're on the ship, and the ship's been a long while sailing the oceans, and now after a very long time lands in sight. The new world is actually there and in sight, and it won't be long before that ship docks and we're standing in the new world. So we're seeing it now, we're literally seeing it. So yeah, hang on to your hats, ladies, we're nearly there.
Wow, lovely ladies. Thank you so much. So much in all of that. What I'd like to add in is that acceptance piece of what you've just shared, Janine, you know, that this is it. I found myself just sharing with a client earlier, you know, just that sense of acceptance that we are the ones that we're waiting for. We are here on purpose, and that this is really happening.
Yes.
It's not a figment of our imagination, that this is really happening, and that this is our opportunity to step into who we're always meant to be. And that, I guess, the most thing that to encourage, and it's, you know, it's challenging on the human level, but is to surrender into this as best as we can. So when we need to sleep, we allow ourselves sleep. When we need to move into some action, we allow ourselves move into some action. And it doesn't have to be a lot of action, but inspired action. Just talking about like the pushy action, that doesn't really work. But when it comes from
definitely old paradigm.
Yeah, when it comes from inspired action, yeah, incredible things, synchronicities and all sorts can happen. So it really is, as you said, the self-care, you know, I remember saying a few years ago, you know, it's not a luxury, it is a necessity, you know, and even now it just seems to be amping up the game of self-care, self-love, self-dedication, so that we can stay as that calm amongst the storm. And just like what you said, Janine, so we don't need to drop into that fear or get kind of distracted too much. And it's like that strengthening, that inner strengthening and anchoring of our light and of our truth, and the acceptance of that, and that becomes our orientation more so than that external reality. And we look to that for our guidance, and listening to that inner rhythm and listening to our bodies, and asking here rather than looking out there for a reference point of where we're at, or, you know, how we're meant to feel about all of this, etc., etc. So it's just, yeah, maintaining that, and seems to be deepening as well. Yeah, I just find to myself, if my human resists even a little, my body is feeling it. The things I could get away with, I'm not getting away with them the same way.
I agree. I know. Yeah.
It's our inner self asking our outer self to line up, isn't it? To come into our greater alignment, to hold our inner presence, to be in our sovereignty. That's another way of putting it. To be very present in our own central vertical core, so that we're holding our own space and we can make our own reflections and our own decisions and stand in those with certainty, with assuredness. So we're not pushed about by some of the narratives that are around, and recognizing that in a way we've flipped it out. So in a way, while you were speaking, Janine, I was being shown this vision about how we can imagine that we are like, having been a teacher, I've watched this, primary school kids in a theatre with the chairs, and there's this show going on the stage, but we kind of just look at it occasionally. We're more interested in who's got what coloured bubble gum and what you did this morning before breakfast, and what we're going to be doing after this play is over, and we might be getting up and running around the chairs, and just we're not actually sitting there in this kind of adult mode of watching the play. We're just kind of having a look at it every now and again because it isn't real, and it's so much becoming obvious about that we've been watching a whole an entire mini series play out, and that it is beginning to be, if we're talking in digital terms, it's starting to pixelate, and we're starting to build our own new plays, our own new stories, our own new movies. And so we're just watching it play out and a little bit curious about what will be revealed at the end of the story. There's quite a few plot twists to come, but the end is nigh. We're going to have these things revealed shortly. It will be a bit of drama, a bit of comedy, and a bit of horror, all thrown in, and a bit of sci-fi. So that big mix is coming to be presented to us, so then we can go, no, not that, we choose this, and then we move more strongly and more fervently, I think, towards this newness, this higher level consciousness, this greater way of being with self and with one another, where things will be really changed and up-leveled.
Absolutely. While we're in 3D, while we're fully in 3D living it, we don't see what 3D is actually truly like, what's behind the scenes. We are easily conditioned, programmed, manipulated. It's only since moving in our vibrational field and moving up into 5D that we start to see the gap, we start to see the growing difference, we start to see 3D reveal itself to us. So that's a measure for all those that believe they may not be doing enough, they may not be being enough. If they're seeing the 3D revealing itself, then they are moving out of it, because it's from that higher vantage point that we're really seeing the reveal now, and everything that just is absolutely not right and doesn't feel right in the 3D. So yes, I know that there's quite a few that are feeling they could be doing more, and they're being quite heavy on themselves at the moment for varying things, that they could be doing this and they could be doing that, and they're not, and they're measuring themselves and others, and they're finding that they're not feeling this and they're not feeling that. Well, I would say to them that they're absolutely where they're meant to be. Right, what you said right at the start, Sharon, they're absolutely where they're meant to be, and that they are doing what is necessary, because they will feel it. If they're not, they will feel that. And so if they're seeing what's going on in this world, then they are moving out of this reality, out of the 3D reality right now, at their own pace, at their own speed. So my team showed me the other day that the higher we rise out of it in our peak times of joy and happiness and play and all those higher spectrum frequencies, that the deeper we will feel and see what's going on here behind the scenes. And if we have a charge to that, if we're triggered by that, if we go into any type of resistance or judgment or criticism about that, then we've still got a way to go to move out of it. When the day comes that we can view it from a complete place of neutrality with no charge to our emotion whatsoever, we are stepping, not fully, but we are stepping more and more into the 5D arena. So that's a really good measure for us, you know, to be able to see that for ourselves. So, because it's very easy to get a little bit of angst now and then, or a little bit of grrr, you know, when we see things going on, especially in our own country. And yeah, it's just about holding the space for love to allow the changes to happen, and holding the space of love in ourselves, so that we're just reminded who and what we are and what we're leaving behind would be the big thing.
Yes, and you know, it's we could see ourselves like a plate spinning on a stick, and so when we're in that big high vibe, the plate's just spinning, 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 and as soon as we dip into something that shifts our vibration, the plate begins to wobble, and that's what we feel on our internal level. We begin to feel that wobble. We don't feel so good. So one of the beauties about having an experience of being up there on that plate that's spinning around smoothly is it feels so good. And then we recognize when we start to wobble, and we can make an adjustment.
Yep.
And then we come back to that place. And yeah, while we're investigating, while we're seeing what's being revealed, we will dip in and out of that. And I wanted to just add to some of the beautiful things that you spoke about, Janine, around people kind of beating themselves up about where they're at or where they're not at. You know, it's not a competition.
No.
And it's very much not a measure of how beautiful, magical, deep and amazing your soul is. You know, we each chose to come here to do particular things at particular times in a particular sequence. And we are, you know, being prompted and guided to do that. And, you know, some beautiful, big, amazing souls are here doing really deep, dirty work. And so we just have to recognize that you know, we are each, yeah, well, you know, we're each a part of the puzzle, aren't we? And we each have to do our piece of the puzzle. So we need to remember that, and to not be in judgment of self and comparison of self and competition with self or with others, because every single act that each of us do has an energetic impact and an energetic imprint on our world. And we're busy removing the old imprints as much as we are bringing in the new codes and lights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Absolutely.
And just what I'll add to that is just reminding myself, reminding everyone that it's okay to not know.
Yeah.
And that
That's
ego,
a really good challenge, isn't it?
To, you know, because I think that's it. We put pressure on ourselves, and even, you know, wanting to figure, you know, it's just that tendency and that habit to want to figure out and micromanage somehow, or be able to predict somehow, and that's too much pressure to put on ourselves through this, and it is releasing yourself from that. So that's kind of, I've been sharing, you know, I know nothing. It doesn't mean I know nothing. It's just a way to flip out of that ego, which is the comparison, the competition, the judger, the doubter, all of that kind of stuff. But it just, I use it in my massage training all the time. I know nothing. And just, I say to everybody, just give it a go. I know nothing. Yeah, and the thing is, it brings us into that joy. I know nothing, because you just giggle. Because if there's nothing to know, there's no pressure, there's no need to figure it out. And that's where we get all heady and pressure and how's it going to go? What are they going to decide? Blah, 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 blah. And of course, that keeps us out of our joy and that higher frequency. So I know nothing, just as a tool to flip out of that. And then what I always ask my students is, okay, now, and anybody else, can just tune in. Once you go, really, I know nothing. I thought I needed to know stuff. I thought I needed to figure all this stuff out, and turns out I know nothing. And then asking, you know, do you really know nothing, or do you actually have access to all knowing? And in that access to all knowing, we are being guided moment to moment to moment. So there's a great peace in that, and a surrender, and that we got this. The universe is at our back. It's moving through us, and it's informing us moment to moment to moment. And in that, touching on what you said, Sharon, you know, that different people are playing all different roles. So once we move into really trusting our own role amongst this, like that's what I just see. Once we have it for ourselves, we see through those eyes for everyone else, you know, we are, or we can discern if somebody's out of alignment, in alignment, so on and so forth. But we do become incredibly discerning, and we're listening more to that guidance rather than the heady stuff. And I feel like as navigating that you know, that is a powerful navigation tool, because I feel like that's one of the things that we're all being asked, is to really surrender this driving the ship through the egoic separated identity self, and surrendering into that higher self, true self, authentic self, that is connected to a much grander vision, that is so grand that it's going to unfold, and we'll be able to look back and we'll be go, okay, just like what you were saying, Janine. I think you were talking how long this was going on, but you couldn't really tell back then. Now it's speeding up, and it's like, oh, okay, this is what's been happening. This is what we've been preparing for. And I can just imagine that like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, it'd be like, whoa, this is where it was all leading us. And you know, with yeah, incredible, definitely patting of the back, and oh, and you know, just majesty for this journey that we undertook, and where it led us. But for now, we just got to be on the path on our humanness, and just one step, and yeah, trust that guidance. So at least that's what I share for myself, for others, because I just feel like any way we can take that pressure off ourselves, and especially with the world, because that's what it's kind of going, you know, get into fear, really need to work this out and figure this out. And, you know, it can really get us in a bit of a, you know, a sticky place potentially. So, you know, so I think any way that we can find to unstick ourselves, and that's the tools, you know, and I guess that's the tools of awakening, really. So what would you share on that, Sharon? Just tools of awakening, tools of navigation, anything else that you would have to share to support people's journey, and the body as well, because there's a lot going on for the body right now.
Well, I would say in reference with what you've just said, segueing into this idea that, you know, what you're talking about is a basic tenet of shifting and consciousness. It's a basic tenet of the journey of that for all of us, is that shift from the head to the heart, is that movement from being in our busy brain into our beautiful divine essence that sits within our heart. And that we will learn, I believe, because I believe that many of us are learning this now, that we will have access to knowledge in a new way. So first of all, we will discover that a lot of our knowledge is false, and then we will discover that a lot of our knowledge has kind of disappeared out of our brain, because we will not need to hold it. There'll be higher aspects of function that we will hold in our brain than some little recollection of facts and things like that, and that we will learn to navigate through our heart. We will allow and use the heart as our decision-making tool, and so we'll use our brain for processing, but we'll use our heart in a way for making decisions, because that's doesn't ever set us wrong. And then on top of that, you know, we'll have, I believe, so I don't know a lot about this, I'm not sure where this is coming from, but anyway, I believe that we will have a lot more sort of cellular cognition, that we will have a lot more clear cognizance, which many of us already have an experience of, but I think we'll have, or I believe that we'll have a lot more of that. When it comes to the body,
it's so important to start really being in tune and listening to the body.
Yes, yes. And to exactly, because we'll get that inner guidance about what it is that we need. So we will come to understand that we've been very programmed about a whole lot of things that are just basically a load of bollocks. And
What did you say, Sharon? Do you say that in 5D?
I think so. I think that's okay. That we've been fed lies about so many things, and that will be the undoing that we go through shortly. We'll find out we've been lied to, basically under the umbrella of keeping us as slaves. And we've been told and taught lies right throughout all of our university degrees and diplomas. And we've been given lies throughout our education system in general. And we've been given lies about nutrition and about health and about agriculture and about the history of our land and the history of our society and all of those things. And a lot of those are the frameworks upon which we've hung our beliefs, our values, and our ways of operating. And so all of that is going to become undone, which is quite a challenging thought. And if we're in the head with it, that will get us into trouble. So we go into the heart and we just feel it through there, and we begin to create a new relationship with our body, which will communicate very clearly to us about what it needs and what it needs in this moment. So we'll find that we'll be making different choices about what we put into our body and how we treat our body and how it behaves for us. So we're going to have a lot more of our higher level gifts dropping in, our little genius codes, those extrasensory perceptions that we've had in other existences will come more online, and we will discover that a lot of the things that have actually happened in our world have been to stop us having those, to short circuit things, to prevent us from accessing those things. And so for me, one of the things I'm really looking forward to is these incredible people on our planet who are very, very sensitive to things, and are affected by the chemicals that are in our air, water and food, and that very soon they are going to be cleared out, and those people are going to really be able to be in much greater ease in their bodies here, and they are here to bring us in new things, to teach us new ways of being, and to bring in new technologies and all sorts of new teachings. We will have 4-year-olds who have the wisdom of professors, and they will be teaching us how to be in our new way of being, and we will be teaching them how to be on this in this physical existence. So yeah, it's our cells are intelligent, and it's this is our journey to move into that communication with our inner being, with our inner guidance, and with ourselves as they come into their greatest alignment, their highest resonance and frequency, and we are returning to being light beings but in physical form. So I guess, Janine, your team was maybe speaking about the harmonic convergence as the beginning point, and I think, was that 86 or 87?
Yes, I think you're right, Sharon. Yeah, feels right when you said that. Yeah, about 86. Yeah.
A while ago that I'm pretty sure she said in 2025 that would be like our midway point on the calendar. That would be our midway point to being in our fifth dimension, fully in our fifth dimensional world. So, just take a few more breaths and we'll be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm handing over the talking stick now.
My team wrote out a 6-page transmission for my weekly group that I run. And part of it, I'm just going to read out just a very short part of it here, because it just fits with what we're talking about at the moment. So they said this: the human being in its pure form, before being conditioned, was of innocent heart, meaning good and evil were not seen as separate nor as different. An experience was simply that, and held no energy attached to it that was either fear or love. The human was neutral in all moments and lived fully in the moment, in deep connection with nature and all the natural elements of this planet. Programming, conditioning changed the human being's connection with themselves and with their connection to the natural world. They became mind-driven instead of heart-centered, encouraged to think rather than to feel. And if you were to take time to look back at your own lives, you would see clearly how a mind-fed and mind-driven life looks like, with its beliefs of right and wrong, separation, doubt, and fears. Now the human being is being upgraded back to purity, however with a deeply upgraded discernment gauge. This is a big aspect of the reprogramming that's happening right now. Discerning for oneself, trusting in one's feelings, and yes, you will not always get it right. However, doesn't that support your deepening discernment also? And when you do get it right, your trust in your own abilities of choice and discernment, inner guidance grows.
That's so true, isn't it? That's like building a muscle at the gym.
Yes, yes it is, isn't it? There was one other piece that, so we say now that what you are witnessing outside of yourself with the crumbling of the old world is a view, a reality that you are leaving behind. And for a while longer, no, I actually said that before, so I've lost my place in this and I won't go hunting for it. But what they were saying is that, here we go, the time will arrive soon where fear will have lessened to only the warning of danger being imminent. The beautiful human being in your purity, innocence, curiosity, trust and love for all life was an easy target for a race of beings from another civilization to manipulate for their own agenda. This will never happen again, as the human will recognise any race wanting to create an agenda that is not of the highest good for anyone but themselves. This is why your discernment gauge is being honed right now, a new facet of the new human. So what they showed me was that way back at the beginning of the creation of this Garden of Eden and the creation of the human at that time to come into this new, beautiful new Garden of Eden world, we were purity, we were innocent, we were fun, we were lightness, we were connected so deeply with all that was natural in that world. And so we were easily caught in a net of deceit, and we had absolutely no idea. No idea. We trusted and we believed because we had no reason not to. There was absolutely no reason not to. And it's been so insidious and so cleverly cloaked over so many lifetimes that it's just been drip by drip that we've been completely altered, if you like. You know, we've been, as Sharon was saying before, when you were speaking, Sharon, like we've been blatantly lied to about every facet of society, and of course we believed those that we looked on as our peers, as you know, the doctors and the teachers and all the professionals. But we know so different now. We know so different. So now, with the awakening, with the moving into a higher frequency, we're actually the children of nature coming home to ourselves. We're coming back into nature's arms, into the mother's arms, and we're realizing that our deepest needs are met, and we're fed on that deep level through everything to do with nature, you know. So and I encourage people that to go out in nature more, to take their rubber-soled shoes off and stand in nature bare feet. Like even the soles of our shoes has been created so that the frequency of the earth cannot come up into our body. Like we're going to find out so much coming up over the next few years that it's going to even surprise those that believe they know it all are going to be surprised by what we find out, you know. So yes, if you get a pool to go and stand in a stream, do it. Take your shoes and socks off and go and stand in there. Even if it's icy cold from the mountains, go and stand in that stream. And I tell you something else before I hand the talking stick over. Trees are talking more and more to people. I am finding this all the time now, all around me from different sources, that trees are communicating. They're actually sharing long conversations with people. And just this morning, I read a beautiful post from a lady whose apple tree spoke to her. First time ever in her whole life, and the transmission was incredible, and she's posted it. It was absolutely beautiful. So I'm blessed that I live on this property here now in way down Pukekohe area, and it's 3 acres of nature, and it has the most incredible forest running right down the side and round the front of it, and I live with the trees right outside my window. I literally can touch the trees, and so I'm learning a whole new deep connection with these incredibly beautiful beings, because that's what they are. They're beautiful beings, and I'm feeling blessed to be with them, and others are really feeling this as well now. So these are all the changes that are happening, you know, right now to us that have lived in concrete and plastic food and drugs and, you know, pharmaceuticals and all that. We're coming back home to ourselves, we're coming back to nature, and that's the most beautiful piece of all. Talking stick, over to you, Mary Jo or Sharon.
Yeah, I'll take the talking stick. What I'd like to add there, yeah, just as you were speaking, I was just being reminded, you know, of just myself, when very immersed into the 3D stress, drama, you know, like I can see it in people now, you know, like I have compassion, because I remember what it was like just in my own situation to have kind of gone through my own chaos in terms of that impending danger, you know. And so it's kind of like what's unfolding, what's next, the impending danger, what's the news. I actually had a couple of dairy farmers come in the door last week, and the partner was bringing the wife wanted to bring the husband for some yoga, just, you know. Anyways, he was open to it, he came in, and I knew straight away that they were dealing with a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, as a lot of people have been. And, you know, and that morning he'd been listening to the news and plugging into it. And, you know, the whole thing was just teaching, again, come back to the breath and to shift into that parasympathetic nervous system, etc., etc., etc. And by the end, he said he felt a confidence, he felt a peace that he had been missing for quite a long time by the time we got to the end of the yoga session. And so the reason I say that is just that's the kind of seduction that is kind of knocking on the door for so many right now. And just as you speak about the nature, it's so easy when we get embroiled in that drama on the stage, what's happening on the stage. And this was very much my life for so long. There was always a family challenge. There was always a drama. It seemed like there was. And I was really running on that sympathetic nervous system and anxious and trying to micromanage and think I had to figure it all out and all of this kind of stuff. And, you know, it was like I missed out on nature. That was one of the big things. And of course, that's part of the separation, the disconnection from our own nature. And so that's such a beautiful part of this awakening, shift in our frequency, is coming back into, as we harmonize within our own nature, and the nature outside supports us in that, you know, there's just the next level of those harmonization, and nature becomes the greatest informer, the greatest teacher. And when we open our eyes, you know, and just be in nature, things become apparent. It just becomes obvious of our own nature. And the clarity just comes, and just the trees. I hug the trees. They've given me messages as well. Just so many, and you may have seen my posts, you know, swim with the dolphins now in Kaikoura, and that's taken on a whole connection. And I feel like the dolphins are getting me ready to swim with the whales, and just feeling that telepathic connection and communion and support of those beings, and connecting to my being as that kind of innocence and playfulness and joyfulness.
And I was sitting in at the base of a tree in a forest, and I began to cry, and I just had tears streaming down my face, and I heard this voice, and it was one of the trees. And I think it said something like, "What is it, little one? Why are you crying?" And I said, "Because all of the trees here are dead." And they said, but no, we are not. We are changing our directional movement because of the dimensional shift. So we have released our leaves so that our energy can go into that. And they had this twist on them, and it was at that time that I'd been kind of tuning into the dimensional shifts and how the vortexes were changing, and that was the message that they gave me.
Wow, that's absolutely, what a beautiful thing to share, Sharon. Gosh,
and Gaia speaks, Janine, of what you were talking about before, and what Mary Jo's been speaking about. If we get into nature, we can get into the stream of receiving these energies. Nature doesn't get headaches and sore bones as much as we do, because it just is in free flow, and so we can use that to help us to assimilate, to integrate, to hold and bring in and pull through, just by being in allowance, just by being in surrender. And it's a practice. It takes practice, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it when you get to that place where you can be really bumped off track, and where you can really see through what's going on and see the beauty in it. And there's a lot of when you were speaking, I just wanted to go, it's so heartfulling to get to that place of imagining up, and that's the place that we can really be, because we're in this dissolution of our structures, and we're really now beginning to build the energetic imprinting, thinking up, creating up what's to come. And we don't have to do that in terms of walls and in terms of buildings and material things. What we do, according to Gaia's guidance anyway, is we do that in terms of how we want to feel. And so we imagine up and we feel into how we want to feel, and all of those things you're talking about being playful and joyful and childlike and having fun. We have to undo all of this. Thou shalt be serious in life, and thou shalt learn all of these facts, and to go into being like the river, and flowing with the river, and navigating around the boulders, but doing it with ease. So that's the place where we're at.
Absolutely. I wrote a post just the other day for Facebook on who we are as nature children, and when you break it down, all that we are, we are ether, fire, earth, wind, water. We are so we're all the elements. We are all seasons. We go through each season with the season of the earth. As we go into summer, we want to come out, we want to play, we feel creative, we want to be out in the light. As we go into autumn, we come into the quiet time, we start to just become a little reflective, we become a little slower. As we go into winter, we feel like hibernating, we feel like closing ourselves off and being in deep inner reflection. As we come into spring, we're bursting with new ideas, we're wanting to birth into life all sorts of new things, so we are the seasons too. We are governed by the planets. We have the emotional cycle of the moon. If you look around at everything that's natural to do with this planet, that is us. That is, the very best foods for our body are those that are grown in our garden and brought straight to our digestive system, onto our plate. And so if this is where we're headed, more and more back to the natural world, and the deepest beauty in ourself is found when we see the beauty in nature. It is reflecting back to us who we are as the nature child, and like I think I've said it before, even the light reflecting off a dewdrop on a leaf has enough beauty to take our breath away in a moment. But that's just reminding us of the light and the flow of ourself as that dewdrop, as that piece of water. So, and that's another thing too, you know, 80% of our body flows with water, as the streams and the rivers and the lakes and the oceans of the world. So, you know, and then we're organic like the earth, and so we're so connected, and yet it's been lost for so long. And the beauty is going to be in watching people unfold back into that realization of themselves over the next few years, as the buildings break down, as the concrete breaks down, and everything in those plastic worlds breaks down, and nature starts to take over. Because I will tell you, the team have said to me, nature will come back and she will take over, because this is her time now, and she's been quiet long enough, and she's been like kind of subdued long.
We carry good heritage, or we carry good genes, or we carry good vibrations, or we carry good soul experiences, and because we're tough,
Yeah,
you know, we're resilient as souls, as beings, we are warriors of light. And so we came here to hold the baton of light and show the way, and to help one another up, because we're each holding one of those. But some of us got battered in some of the earlier battles, and so we're helping one another up, and we're really there. You know, Gaia is very excited about where we're at. You need to know this is not negotiable anymore.
no,
We are going there, and it's just kind of tidying up the edges. That's where we're at now. We just have to hold steady with that and recognize our own light, and sit in that place of, I want to say, a lot of people ask me, what do I do to wake other people up? And I say nothing. You just hold your own space, and they will come to you when they want to know, when they're ready. If you try and do that from your own kind of end, you create resistance. Hold your hand now. Come to me when you need a hug, when you need to have someone to walk beside you. Our role on our own vibe, you know, managing what's going on, then what we do is we allow that vibration to affect those around us and to help hold them, and that holds their vibrational space so they can more easily come into their higher vibration. So that's kind of the role of those who are awake and aware and very conscious at the moment. That's Gaia's guidance anyway.
beautiful. You back with us, Mary Jo?
Yeah, sorry, my internet is in and out. I'm not sure. It looks like it's good, but it keeps putting me out and then back in again. So sorry about that. Hopefully it's all okay. My apology. Yeah, just as you're speaking, I just wanted to throw in just making friends with destruction. I know creation, you know, and I'm pretty comfortable as a creator being. But what I realized over these past months is I need to get comfortable with just being the destroyer as well, and the letting go and the releasing of the old. Did you catch that, or did I drop out again?
No, say that again now. Let's hold space for you to have a clear
I
voice
am
that can be
connected.
communicated. Go.
All good, all good. Anyways, you're frozen again. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to end it here. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for sharing all your beautiful communications. I so hope the video has captured it and that we have caught it.
Out, Mary Jo.
No.
Yeah, it's been lovely hanging out. And yeah.
It has.
It all is what it is. And we're unfolding it together. Namaste.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Thank you, Sharon. Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Love you both.
Lovely to hang out.
Love you so much.
Yeah, always.
So grateful for you both. For us all.